workplace accident or through the negligence of someone else, you need attorney Shane Farnsworth fighting on your side. Call now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337. You are listening to the Ask the Expert Show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
And we are back. I'm Rhonda Hines, joined by Shane Farnsworth. He is our expert in personal injury law. How you doing tonight, Shane?
Good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where were you educated and how'd you get started in law?
Sure. I've been practicing for a little over 20 years now. I went to law school down in Miami at St. Thomas University. Once I was out, I opened up on my own. I'm a solo practitioner. I'm located in downtown Delray Beach, just off Atlantic Avenue. If you know where the new IPIC Theater is, my office is across the street from the IPIC Theater. So
great location.
Yeah, I've been there since 1999. So
you catch a movie at lunch?
I actually haven't been to a movie at the IPIC yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you should. You need a break sometime, right? I'm sure personal injury keeps you busy in the state.
It does, yes. There's a lot of car accidents, slip and falls, things like that going on. So we do stay busy.
Hey, a lot of careless drivers out there, right? People on their phone.
Yeah, especially this time of year, the roads are really packed, and no matter where you go, you pretty much run into at least congestion, if not an accident somewhere along the way.
You're also talking because it's high season, our snowbirds are back.
Yep,
and
absolutely. I was just driving to pick up dinner last night, and I got on 95. I was only going to go 2 exits, and as soon as I got on, traffic was stopped. It was backed up for 2 exits, and just sort of miserable, and that's just the way it is.
I feel like it's gotten worse in the last 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah, I think in addition to the fact there's a lot of construction on 95 at the moment, they're eliminating the HOV lanes and putting in the the ones that the pay lanes. So as you get out of Palm Beach County into Broward, a lot of construction related to that. So, and I know they're going to be extending those through Palm Beach County. So yeah.
So does your practice, do you cover all of Florida, or do you cover just South Florida?
Yes, we have clients all throughout Florida. We have a lot of clients in the Central Florida area. We have a client currently in Jacksonville. We have clients on the west coast of Florida. Primarily, most of our clients are more local. They come from southern Palm Beach County, Broward County, occasionally Dade County. But yes, we do represent people throughout the state.
Well, you must be pretty good if people are hearing about you from other places in Florida.
Yeah, well, we do a good job for our clients, and word of mouth helps. And if a lot of our business comes from former clients, so we take pride in making sure they're treated properly, and we do a good job for them. And as a result, they send us their family and friends, and family and friends can be spread out all over the place sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's the best testimonial is when you've done work for someone else and they can recommend you positively. It's great. Yeah,
like I said, that's in our personal injury part of our practice. That's primarily where a lot of our business comes from. It's prior clients, and they refer us their family and friends, and we try to make them as happy as we did the original client.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned slip and falls and auto accidents. What other types of accidents are classified as personal injury?
Well, personal injury is sort of an umbrella term, and it includes a lot of different things: car accidents, slip and falls, motorcycle accidents, dog bites, wrongful death, tractor-trailer. We do on occasion. Dog bites can be a little bit tricky. A lot of homeowners' policies exclude dogs. So, but you get those. Down here in Florida, we have, boating accidents. We have a lot of water. So, those are other things. Premises liability, or walking in the parking lot at the big box store and someone bangs you over the head and steals your wallet, that sort of thing. So those all fall under the general term of personal injury.
So, they have to catch the person who did it, though, right? So you can sue them.
No, not necessarily. If the big box store was negligent in maintaining their parking lot and didn't have proper security, you could go after them for that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So, aren't you shopping at your own risk, though?
Well, you do have some responsibility to pay attention and, pay attention to what you're doing, but ultimately the property owner does have a responsibility to people they invite onto their property to keep them safe, whether it be from people that are, either going to rob them, or if, for example, they don't keep their parking lot safe, trip and fall, all those sorts of things they can be responsible for.
Oh, okay. Now, you mentioned tractor trailer accidents. I mean, that doesn't just fall under car accidents. That's a special, because you're going out.
Yeah, it's actually a bit different. Tractor trailers are, they have regulations. They're governed by federal law, so there's nuances to a tractor trailer accident that you wouldn't have in a regular run-of-the-mill car accident. We also represent, for example, pedestrians. If you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist, you get injured by somebody driving a car. Those are other cases that are also personal injury cases.
Yeah. How often do a lot of your personal injury cases, your auto cases, involve someone texting while driving? Is that fairly common these days?
It does happen. Yeah, it does happen. And in fact, a lot of times, the cases that I have that go into litigation, one of the standard questions that we send in interrogatories is, were you on your phone at the time? And sometimes we'll request production of, we'll get their cell phone number and we'll want their records to see whether or not they were on the phone. So, they changed the law now that you're not supposed to be texting and driving. So that.
You can still talk, and you don't have to be like, I lived in LA for years. It was hands-free. You had to have a, headset. Couldn't be holding your phone.
You can talk, but you're not supposed to be texting and driving. They changed the law, and it's now an issue. They can pull you over that as a primary offense.
Yeah, you can go to jail for that, right?
Well, they're probably not going to put you in jail, but if you're driving and you're texting, not paying attention, and due to that you're negligent and injure somebody.
Well, I mean, if you injure someone, could you go to jail for that, or?
You're probably not going to put you in jail for that. But what it does do is, if you're not following the law and you injure somebody, you may be subject to punitive damages. So you can get damages in addition to just your normal pain and suffering and your medical bills and stuff like that. So that's part of the reason we look for those things, to see if that occurred and that was a contributing cause of the accident.
So let's talk about automobile accidents.
Okay.
Fairly common thing. What should someone first do when they're involved in an accident?
Well, the first thing you do, don't leave the scene of the accident. Make sure you call the police.
Hit and run, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, even
if you caused it.
Yeah, if you caused it, no, you stay at the scene. Make sure that you call the police. It's very important that you get a police report. I always tell people, a lot of times, if someone else causes an accident, they may tell you, "Well, I'll pay for it. I don't want to get the insurance involved. Let's just exchange information." Well, if you do that, you drive away, and then the next day you try to get in touch with that person, and their story changes that you caused the accident. Now, how do you get around that? So, it's super important that you stay at the scene. You call the police, wait for them to get there, and get a police report. If there's any witnesses around at the time of the accident, get their names and numbers, because people a lot of times don't want to be involved, or if they are willing to be involved, they're not going to spend a lot of time hanging around the accident scene. So if you see witnesses, make sure you get their names and numbers. Get your car to a safe area. You don't want to keep your car in the middle of the road with traffic going by, wandering around. So those are important things to do immediately after an accident.
Yeah, don't you hhate when people in the car's driveway will just sit in the middle of the
and they block the lane.
3-lane
Yeah, and that just creates a hazard for everybody else.
Because they're watching.
Yeah, and it's not safe for the person sitting in the middle either. If somebody's not paying attention, they end up in another accident.
Exactly.
So,
in LA, I remember when I lived there, it was, if the car's drivable, you guys just exchange information, don't call the police, was kind of the standard policy. And I just thought, man, I don't know if I trust, like you said, I don't trust that. But they're just so inundated with, calls and bigger issues that they have to kind of cover, of course, the bigger scenes. I don't know if that's still how it works there, but
I'm not sure about LA, but I mean, here in Florida, most of the police departments will have, community service officers, and essentially their primary function is to go around and write reports. So that way it's not taxing the actual officers that are trying to enforce the law. So they do have the people to come write the report, investigate the accident. And like I said, it's important that you do that, because if you leave, when it comes down to, whose insurance is going to pay for this, the other person may not be as honest as you would like them to be, and they may say, "Hey, you caused it," and how do you prove it?
So is fault determined at the scene, and what if the person who is being identified as the person at fault? What if they're in disagreement with it?
A lot of times what will happen is the officer, when they write the report, they'll make a determination of fault. They don't always make a determination of fault, but they'll look at the what happened, and they'll say, okay, well, we think this person may have been at fault. And usually the way you can tell that in Florida is the person they deem to be at fault, they generally list as the first driver. So driver number one on the police report, on a crash report, is generally the person they're citing for the accident. So if you do get cited, absolutely, you can fight that ticket. You can hire someone to go to court and fight the ticket. And if you weren't at fault, that's something you should do. I had a case recently where the person I represented was given a ticket. And if you actually just read the police report, it looked like, hey, they were pretty much at fault.
That they were both
We made sure they fought that, and then we had to, it was during the litigation process through depositions and other things, we were able to show that they really had no fault and the other people did. And initially, when we were talking to the insurance adjuster, they took the position that, well, they were at fault, we're not paying anything. Through our hard work, we were able to get that ticket taken care of. It was gone. Our client wasn't at fault, and we were able to get them a fairly substantial settlement. In the end, we were able to do the work and show that the other people were the ones at fault.
Well, I know they were truly grateful, because having that on your record really, Florida insurance rates are already ridiculously high. I remember I just couldn't believe when I moved here. I think my insurance went up. I had a perfect driving record, nothing on my record. I came from the third most expensive metropolitan area in the country. There's New York, San Francisco, L.A., and my insurance went up like 30% here. And I was like, I don't understand. And they said, well, it's all the fraud we have here. And it's like, wow.
Well, I think what you're referring to is dealing with PIP, personal injury protection. And unfortunately, there is some fraud with that that does help increase premiums. But there's also, I always tell my clients, there's the other end of it. There's the insurance company fraud in PIP, where they know you have a claim that's a valid claim, and they'll deny the claim, they'll delay the claim, they won't pay the claim, and you have to fight them to do what's right. So
deny. This is very familiar from the last show.
I was actually listening to the last fellow's show, and I heard him say that as well. But for example, I have a case that we recently started representing the person, and they have what I refer to as non-standard insurance, and a non-standard insurance company. It's not a State Farm, Allstate, Geico. And they're notorious. So the first thing they do is, once the claim is set up, they'll do what's called an EUO, where they'll take a statement.
EUO? What is an EUO?
An examination under oath.
Oh, okay.
So they'll take a statement, and in their statement, basically what they're looking for is any excuse that they don't have to pay under the policy. And assuming you make it past that, when you go to the doctor, then they'll do what's called an IME, an independent medical exam, which really isn't independent. What they do is send you to their doctor, and their doctor says, hey, you don't need any further treatment as the result of this accident. And they cut off your benefits. So,
and those individuals, if you actually pulled what they get paid by the insurance company to give their not injured report, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the ways you can fight a PIP suit, is to, when there's an IME cutoff, is to show that, how much that doctor gets paid and how often they actually find there's something wrong with someone. But, getting back to, you're paying an expensive premium because you have $10,000 in PIP benefits. Well, your insurance company, depending on the company, if it's one of the non-standards, they're going to do everything they can to cut those benefits off, so they're not paying $10,000 in benefits, even though you've paid the premium for that coverage. So that's Florida's it's a tough state. There's a lot of accidents here, a lot of people driving without insurance here in Florida as well.
The uninsured or no insured.
Yeah, and even if you have insurance in Florida, the only coverages you're actually legally required to have are PIP, which is the personal injury protection, and property damage. So the PIP pays, or no fault state, so regardless of who causes the accident, the first $10,000 of your medical bills gets paid by the PIP coverage. And then property damage is what it's like it sounds. If you run into someone's car or hit their fence or cause damage, your property damage pays for that. But in Florida, you're not required to carry what's called bodily injury, which is if you're negligent and injure somebody else, that's how you pay for that.
Yeah.
So
How do you feel? How do you feel about Florida being a no-fault state? Why don't you define what that is for folks, and then personal opinion on it.
Yeah, well, a no-fault state, basically what that means is you're required to have PIP coverage, personal injury protection. So if you get into an accident, regardless of who causes the accident, the first $10,000 of your medical bills gets paid by your PIP coverage. And the way that it works is that until a medical doctor determines you have what's called an emergency medical condition, PIP only has to pay up to $2,500. Once you're determined to have an EMC by a medical doctor, then you get the full $10,000 in coverage. So that's another way that if you don't get an EMC, then you don't get the full benefit of the $10,000 that you're paying for. So that's what that's what no
And
fault
remind me
is.
again, what was the EMC was again?
Emergency medical condition,
Okay.
which is actually a fairly broad definition. So if you're treating with a medical doctor, chances are pretty good they'll find you have an EMC. But until you meet that threshold, you're only entitled to the $2,500 in PIP benefits. So that's the no fault end of it. And it's good in that people, if you don't have health insurance, but you have your auto insurance, you do have $10,000 potentially to pay for your medical bills. Now, another way you could do that I would prefer is if the state were to require bodily injury coverage, and you got rid of PIP, that way, if you get injured by somebody else, there would be money to recover from to pay you for your injury. So, and that would also pay for your, towards your damages for your medical bills as well.
Right.
That I think would be a preferable system to the no-fault PIP system we have in Florida. And
Because to me, if you get in a car and drive drunk and you cause an accident, you're definitely at fault.
yeah, well,
There, you can't say it's no fault. It's the person who got in the car and drove drunk was definitely at fault.
well, I have no shortage of people who come in that are literally sitting at the traffic light minding their own business, and the person behind them slams into them. So clearly
Same
they're not
thing.
at fault, but regardless, the first $10,000 of your medical bills gets paid by PIP in Florida.
Yeah. So we're going to go to a short commercial break, but I wanted to give everybody your phone number and your website.
Sure. Our phone number is 561-272-8337, and you can find us on the web at farnsworthlaw.net.
So if you're looking for an awesome personal injury attorney, give Shane a call. We're going to be back after the short commercial break.
As an experienced personal injury attorney, Shane Farnsworth understands the key to success in your case. You are entitled to compensation for your injuries, medical bills, lost wages, and personal loss. Mr. Farnsworth will go to trial if you are not offered the fair settlement that you deserve. The law offices of Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, has established itself as one of the leading personal injury law firms in the South Florida area. They give all their personal injury clients a promise. If they don't recover monetary damages in your case, you will not pay any attorney's fees. Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, offers a free consultation to evaluate your legal case. If they take your case, they only get paid if they win. Whether you've been injured in a motor vehicle crash, slip and fall, workplace accident, or through the negligence of someone else, you need attorney Shane Farnsworth fighting on your side. Call now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337.
And we are back with Shane Farnsworth. Shane, we left off, we were going to talk about what happens, the accidents occurred, we've got the police involved, they're filing a report, they're determining fault. When do folks call you?
Well,
Or should they call you?
yeah, I mean, you should get in touch with your attorney as soon as possible. One of the things that happens is once you're represented by counsel, your insurance company, the insurance companies, they can't talk to you directly. They have to go through your attorney. So once you're in the accident, you're going to have two insurance companies that you're going to be dealing with. Your own insurance company, where if you're injured, you'll be setting up your PIP claim. And if you're going to get your vehicle fixed through your insurance, you'll be doing your collision claim through them. You also have the other party's insurance. If they were at fault, you'll probably be fixing the car through them with their property damage coverage. And, you'll also be looking to see if they have bodily injury coverage if you're injured, because that's the coverage that if somebody's negligent and injures you, that's how you get compensated. So, a lot of times if you're not experienced with dealing with insurance companies, They're going to want to take your statements. With your own insurance company, you have a duty of cooperation. You do have to give them a statement, and you should report the accident to them as soon as possible.
So both to your insurance company and their insurance company?
Well, the other insurance company, you're not required to give them a statement. And generally speaking, you may be better off not giving them a statement, and have your attorney talk to them, because sometimes they'll ask you questions that you may think are,
benign.
Benign. And really what they're doing is trying to ask you questions that allow them to say, hey, we're not going to pay to fix your car because we think you were at fault, or, you said something along the lines of what your injuries were that doesn't correlate later on down the line, so we don't think this is related to the accident.
Right.
So it's important to be represented by counsel as soon as you can.
Yeah, so that you get involved. Now, what if they've already talked to the other party, the other insurance company, before they've gotten you involved? Is that a problem?
It's not the end of the world. What will happen is we'll always request a copy of any statement that you gave to the insurance company, so we can see, if we're getting involved after the fact, so we can see what it is that you said, so we can be prepared. So it's not the end of the world if you do talk to them, but if you have that extra layer of protection by having the attorney involved, it takes you out of the loop, and you don't have the pressure of dealing with it.
Yeah.
And you have someone experienced handling it for you. So
yeah, I've heard many people say after an accident, the adrenaline's flowing, they didn't feel any kind of pain or discomfort, and then it was like a day or so later, it was like, oh, like I'm hurting, like I've got a wrist ache or a neck ache or whatever, back is flaring up. What do you recommend for that?
Yeah, that's really common. Like you said, it's not every day that you're involved in an auto accident. And, a lot of times,
God knows it's not a normal experience.
Yeah, so it's a lot of times, like you said, your adrenaline's flowing. You're nervous. You may not notice right away that you have aches and pains, and a lot of times that will happen. You'll go home, you start to calm down, and you say, "Hey, wait a minute, I don't feel quite right. My back hurts, my neck hurts."
Yeah.
If that happens, it's important that you get to the doctor as soon as possible. You want to make sure that the doctor is documenting your injuries, and you want to be able to have the doctor correlate those injuries to the accident. So, if you wait down the line, eventually what's going to happen is an insurance adjuster, when they review your claim, your injury claim, they're going to say, well, hey, you waited 10 days to go to the doctor. If you were really injured, why didn't you go in the first place? And another important thing, under the PIP portion of your policy, the personal injury protection, you have to treat within 14 days in order to be entitled to PIP benefits. So that's another reason that you want.
Is that new, or has that always been the case?
That wasn't always the case. I think they changed it, I want to say in 2012, maybe 14, somewhere around there.
So you have to be seen by a physician 14 days.
Within 14 days.
14 days of the accident.
Yes. It doesn't necessarily have to be an MD. It can be a chiropractor. But yeah, you have to seek medical treatment within the 14 days, or else you do not get the PIP benefits.
Right.
So that's another way. You said you were paying all that money for the premium. If you don't know that, you say, hey, hopefully it's going to go away. I'm not going to go to the doctor. I'll wait a few days, and you go on day 15. Well, guess what? You don't have PIP benefits.
Wow. Yeah. So would you recommend, let's say the wreck is a significant impact, the person's not feeling anything, that night, but do you recommend them going the next day just to get checked out, or what's your recommendation for that?
Well, it doesn't hurt to go get checked out. If you absolutely feel like you're fine, then it may not be necessary. But if you feel, hey, maybe I'm not okay, then it's definitely important to go get checked, and get checked as soon as you can, because, like I said, you want the doctor to be able to say, hey, this is from the accident.
And I'm sure, of course, the details about the wreck are important to give the doctor. Anything else that's significant that you should let the physician know? Yeah,
absolutely. Number one, I always tell people, when you go to the doctor, I don't want you to be Superman, but I don't want you to be a crybaby either. So, let them know what's wrong with you. Don't exaggerate it. But don't hold stuff back either. If if it hurts, let them know that it hurts. They can't treat it if they don't know. Another thing that's important is, if you have a past history, make sure the doctor knows that. That's important to your case. That's important in the doctor determining how to treat you. If you have a prior low back issue, you had an accident before and you have a disc herniation, and now that part of your back is hurting again, You need to let them know, hey, I was asymptomatic before this, but now it's coming back.
Well, we have to go, but I really enjoyed speaking with you tonight. So if you guys are looking for an awesome attorney, give Shane a call. Shane, give him your phone number again.
561-272-8337, and you can find me at farnsworthlaw.net.
And that concludes tonight's show. We will talk to you next Monday.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Expert Show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts with Steve-O.